Before we get started, just a quick reminder, Sane Enough is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult with a qualified healthcare provider for any health concerns. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, and share Sane Enough across all platforms.
Whispering doubts, losing the game. Talking to myself, is reality in sight? Inner battles keep me up at night. Sane enough for a new day. Sane enough to find my way. Working on myself, building my name.
This is Sane Enough. I'm Coach Eric. Today we're going to have part 3 of reframing. We're going to tackle failure to feedback. Sounds like a negative because it's got failure right in the name. But it's actually a powerful tool within the reframe toolset that encourages a more constructive and empowering way to view setbacks and mistakes. So it's not itself a failure, but rather a better way to view failure. It suggests that instead of labeling something as a failure, we should see it as valuable feedback that can help us learn, grow, and improve. You'll probably hear me talk about creating a data set out of failure. That's what I'm talking about. It's turning failure into something productive. So let's dive a little deeper. There are 3 core principles to this reframing technique: subjectivity of failure, focusing on learning, and empowerment. With subjectivity of failure, the idea is that failure is not an objective reality. It's not. It's just a label that we apply to certain outcomes. And what's crazy about it is what you consider a failure, that guy over there might see as a learning opportunity. What I consider a failure, you might see as an improvement opportunity, as a moment where progress can happen. It's the old one door closes, one door opens, one man's trash, another's treasure, all these different things that talk about perspective. Well, that's what we're talking about here. It's a matter of taking the perspective that something is a growth opportunity, a learning opportunity, rather than taking the stance that it's a failure. And that leads right into the second principle, where you're focusing on learning, where you can take the emphasis away from those negative aspects, away from that concept of failure, away from the idea that you had a setback, and instead you focus on what can be learned from the experience. You build your data set, remove the emotion, and look at the actual growth potential, the actual facts of the situation. And when you do that, it is empowering. That third principle, empowerment, you feel the strength that you're going to gain by taking away the negativity and focusing on making better choices for the future. By giving yourself this data set, by giving yourself this growth opportunity and taking away the negative, what you're left with is not just positive, but positive that is productive. And that is the key to failure to feedback. So how do you apply this? Well, like the other 2 skills within reframing, what you're trying to do is change your lens, change your filter. You want to reframe your perspective. You need to make a conscious choice to view the setback, to view the mistake, to view the quote-unquote failure as a source of information. It's not a sign that you are personally inadequate. It's a data set that you can go through, find information, and use it to improve you. Don't ask yourself, why did I fail? That's not going to give you the kind of quality data you need. What you need to do is say, hey, what can I learn from this experience? And list out learning opportunities. Talk about what can I do differently next time. So not only did you write down what you learned, you can write down what you can do differently. And then you can say, what kind of strengths can I build upon? Because even in quote unquote failure, you have positives. So you look at those positives, you say, okay, I can do better with these things I'm already good at and build them up even more, in addition to modifying these things that I'm not as good at to improve those. So it's not just about identifying weakness. In fact, what it's really about is identifying what you are good at and can continue to do better to overall improve yourself. To do that, you need to be able to identify patterns. You need to look for patterns in your setbacks. You need to look for patterns in your failure cycles and see if there are certain situations, certain environments, certain behaviors that consistently lead to unwanted outcomes. One of the ones I harp on a lot is lack of sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep and you're waking up groggy and you're waking up cranky and you're having to rely on a stimulant just to get your day started, you're also probably feeling less than strong later in the day. And as a result, you're not performing as well. And if you can identify that, then you can look at that as an opportunity for improvement. So we identify the problem. You're tired, you're cranky, and we identify what your strengths are. Well, you're really good at getting up with your alarm. You're not a snooze person. You're not hitting the snooze and hitting the snooze and hitting the snooze. You're getting up. So now you have some options. Maybe you need to go to bed a little earlier. Or maybe, since you've already got that get out of bed quick situation on underhand, you can move your alarm clock a little bit later to get more sleep, or a little bit earlier. So you hop out of bed and then you do something that's going to invigorate your body. Not just drink a stimulant, but spend 10 minutes doing visualization exercises, doing some meditation, and really giving your body and soul some boosts that are coming from within. And you can look at that and you can reframe that. Instead of it's a failure because I'm tired, it's an opportunity because I have these different methods of giving myself a leg up on my day. So you need to identify these patterns. You need to look at some opportunities and you need to experiment. So try the meditation, try the visualization, try sleeping in a little longer, try waking up a little earlier. Experiment, adjust, use the data, the feedback you get from those experiments to improve your strategy. Again, reframing is never static. It's always flexible. Embrace the growth. Embrace the process. Recognize that the setbacks are just part of the learning process. They're part of the growth process. They're part of the process to progress. They are an opportunity for you to personally get better. They're not failures. They're opportunities. But Coach Eric, they feel terrible. Yes. I didn't say they feel good. What I said is you need to take that feeling of terrible out of the equation and look at the data and find productive steps in there because you can. You're really good at these things when you practice them. And it's worth it. There are so many benefits to this. It's going to give you increased resilience by viewing setbacks as feedback, by viewing failure as data points, by viewing yourself as able to step away from the emotion of the situation and see the growth opportunities. You're going to develop a greater resilience and you're going to be less likely to be discouraged by challenges because that's what these are. These are challenges. And it's going to accelerate your learning. When you're able to focus on learning from mistakes, it allows you to acquire new skills, new knowledge, not only more quickly, but more efficiently. And it's going to be very rewarding because you're going to be able to find those positives, and positives feel better than negatives. I think that should go without saying, but I'm going to say it again. Positives feel better than negatives. So build on the positives. It'll enhance your creativity. The feedback you receive can spark new ideas. It can spark creative solutions, and it can give you the freedom to take chances with your creativity because you're not going to look back on it and beat yourself up on it. You're going to look back on it and say, oh, that wasn't my best, but I was good at X, Y, and Z, so I can do more of that. It's not about where you came up short. It's where you can get stronger, better, and that will help your creativity. And all of this improves your self-awareness. When you're able to step back and really look at yourself, evaluate yourself, and do so in a positive way that's going to build up your person, your self, your mental wellness, you're going to be more self-aware. Analyzing your setbacks, this leads to greater understanding of your strengths, your weaknesses, and your path forward. So let's look at an opportunity for you to use this reframing technique. How about something painful, like a failed relationship? And this doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be a lost friendship. It could be a falling out with an acquaintance. It could be a coworker. It could be a customer that you've lost. But we're just talking about a personal relationship. Usually what happens when we fail in a relationship, we like to kind of shut the door on it because it's painful to think about. We don't want to dwell on it. Unless we're a worrier and we got a voice in the back of our head who likes to replay all the negative things for us over and over and over and over again. Well, this is a great opportunity to take that voice that makes us miserable and makes us sad and make it a positive. All right, so you're going to list every dumb thing I did in this entire relationship. Thank you. Those data points are going to give me opportunities to improve myself for the next relationship. So instead of thinking my relationship didn't work out and I'm a horrible person and everything is awful and I just wish that everything would go dark, I'm instead going to say, hey, you know what? I didn't adequately communicate with my partner. I didn't adequately communicate with my customer. And there's an opportunity here for me to do a better job of communicating my timing, my whereabouts, my product, my feelings. I can improve my communication skills. And hey, I wasn't always on time. I like to believe that I'm mostly on time, but when I really look back on this, I can see where I had a bad habit of calling late, showing up late, and not always being fully engaged when I got there. Still thinking about the things that were happening earlier in the day that had made me late in the first place. So rather than focus on that as, well, that destroyed the relationship, I can look at that and say, hey, you know what? That's something I can get better at for the next relationship. And it works that way with all of that negativity. So when negative Nancy is sitting there in your brain, just hammering you with all the reasons your relationship failed, just take notes. Convert that negativity into data points and attack it with a growth mindset. Find the flexibility in your approach to improve those things. So there's 3 things I want you to consider to be like the key considerations here. First and foremost, this is an action-oriented activity. Reframing, particularly in the failure to feedback model, is action-oriented. It's not enough to just think differently, but you have to take action on what you learn from this. This is not simply a visualization exercise. This is both a mental and physical exercise. So be action-oriented. Be prepared for emotional processing. It's important to acknowledge and to process any of the negative emotions associated with the failures and setbacks that you're addressing. Before you can effectively turn them into data, before you can effectively reframe them as feedback, before you can effectively utilize them as part of your growth process, you have to acknowledge the emotional side. You have to kind of isolate it separate from the data. You can't completely remove emotion. I'm not asking you to be a robot. I'm just saying, don't focus on that negative emotion. Don't focus on that hurt. Focus instead on the feedback so that you can build from that. And be compassionate. Be compassionate to yourself because this is going to be raw at times. It's going to bring up bad emotions and it's going to force you to remember things that you'd really rather just shove down deep. Everybody makes mistakes. And I know you know that. I know you've given that exact piece of advice to people in your life. Oh, don't worry about that. Everybody screws up. But you never give yourself that freedom. And if you're going to effectively reframe You have to give yourself the same amount of empathy that you would give a stranger, a loved one, or a friend. Be kind to yourself during this process. It's going to take time. It's going to require you to make those nerves a little raw. And it's going to require you to shift emotional balance in order to focus on personal growth. So, by all means, take a breath, step back, and say, hey, I failed, but I am not a failure. I had a setback, but it won't set me back. I'm going to grow from this. And that is the key to failure to feedback reframing. You can use it to transform your relationships with setbacks, with failure points, with negativity, and turn those things into data sets that are powerful catalysts for growth and success. I'm Coach Eric. This has been Sane Enough. We tackled as if reframing, and that means on the next episode, we're going to jump into question reframing because there's just more tools out there that you need to use to make for a better you. So, until next time, have a sane enough day.
It's gonna be a good day. Got a hole in my socket, I'm running late. I need caffeine, but the only coffee is a stain on my mug. Bread's gone moldy, even a PB&J is a bust. Man, I don't even have a clean spoon. Yeah, it's one of those days. Yeah, one of those days. Gotta figure it out. Yeah, at least I got 2 feet on the ground. Yeah, it might be the wrong side of the bed, but hey, I can say I woke up. It's been a good day so far. My truck won't start and my phone won't turn on. I guess I'll walk cause I can't get a ride round here anyway. Now of course, the rain's coming down in gusts and sheets. I guess I should have brought a boat, but you know, I don't even have an umbrella. Who carries one of those anyway? Not me. Yeah, it's one of those days. Yeah, one of those days. Gotta figure it out. Yeah, at least I got 2 feet on the ground. Yeah, it might be the wrong side of the bed, but hey, I can say I woke up. It's been a good day, I swear. I stumbled in like a wet dog, no towel in sight. Maybe I should just call it a day. Hell, I should call it a night. And then a stranger bought me a brew. Yeah, man, you know I needed that. It just shows a little kindness goes far. Now I'm sitting here making friends at the bar. Someday this will be a good story to tell. Good times to have, no time to dwell. So let's order wings and fire up the jukebox. Next round's on me. Maybe, just maybe, things do turn around. If you look, kindness can always be found. A stranger's smile